Good afternoon. Can everybody hear me okay? All righty. Good afternoon. How's the volume to everybody out there?
Loud and clear, sir.
All right, so you're real good. All right, let me introduce myself and just say as a point of introduction, I'm the replacement for this briefing. Our wing chaplain, Chaplain Jeff Atkins, is getting married and is on his honeymoon this weekend. And so I got this interesting email here about a week and a half ago saying, would you please fill in for me? And so this is a first for me to fill in for him, first to do one of these seminars. And we're going to be dealing with a lot of information that's come up this last year. It's been a busy year, needless to say, for a lot of good reasons. But what I'd like to do is just pull some pertinent things together and be able to introduce you to the chaplain program and also the CDIs, what our goals are for the state of West Virginia, as well as meeting the goals of the National CAP program. Again, I'm Paul Carmine with the Morgantown Squadron, and we're going to go around. Looks like we've got 4 people logged on, including myself. So let's just do some introductions, make them kind of brief, but so we can understand what the team's all about. And whoever would like to speak up first, go right ahead.
I can go first. I'm senior member Rich Cordellini, and I'm a member of the Morgantown Composite Squadron, and I am a CDI, and I do work with Chaplain Carmine.
All right, welcome, Rich. Good to see you and good to hear of you there.
I'm Major Jason Hudak. I'm the Mid-Valley Composite Squadron Commander and the Wing Health Service Officer. I live in Huntington.
All right. Welcome. Excellent presentation you finished up there just a short time ago.
I'm Jamie Cumbridge with the Boone Composite Squadron. I'm the commander and as well as many other hats. My son, who's not able to be on today, is right now going to Liberty University, and his future goal is to be a chaplain in Civil Air Patrol.
Excellent. Liberty University, that sounds familiar. That's one of my alma maters. Congratulations to him. All right, one more introduction to go there. All right, she's probably listening in the background there. As we said before, there's been a lot of changes this last year. I have been around the chapel program since about 1968, and this is not my current picture, but I am glad to have had the opportunity to work with the chapel program, both 21 years of active duty in several different locations, and of course now, and more importantly, to serve with the unit here in Morgantown. Just to give you some idea, because we are in a recruiting mode, the requirements for the chaplain are just as stringent as they are as getting in on active duty in the Air Force. Here's a little bit of background on the back of myself. My home church is in Hinton, West Virginia, Riverview Chapel, and the endorsing agency, which every chaplain has to require to be have one, is Association of Gospel Churches, because I'm involved with an independent Bible church here in Morgantown, West Virginia. But AGC in Greenville, South Carolina is my endorsing agency, and that is required for being a military chaplain. Been married for almost 54 years, got 2 children, 8 grandchildren. My ratings are chaplain, I'm a master CDI, supply technician, PDO technician, observer technician, so I enjoy being on flight status. Also had the privilege of flying with the vice commander of our CAP wing just this last Wednesday, in fact. Education-wise, graduate of Great Plains Baptist Divinity School, master in pastoral and religious education, and also back in the early days of Liberty University when it was called Liberty Baptist College. The minor is in pastoral counseling. And if I can connect with you in these areas, I love to boat. Just on the boat yesterday, in fact, enjoying the Mon River up here in Morgantown. Enjoy flying, teach and work with quadcopters and model railroading and just plain tinkering. So those are some of my hobbies that I enjoy doing there. I'd like to run over officially the corps chain of command. as of a couple months ago at the national conference, Colonel Linda Pugsley was appointed to take the place of Colonel John Murdoch, and she is now the Chief of Chaplains and will be serving for the next 4 years in that specific place. And while I'm mentioning that, the previous Chief of Chaplains had a monthly roundtable that usually occurred on Thursday, the third Thursday of each month at 8 o'clock. And both chaplains and CDIs are invited to tune into that. It's either a Teams or a Zoom meeting, depending upon what the organizer requires. But it is about an hour's worth of discussion, and it is very informative as to what direction things are going for the Chaplains Corps program for CAP. Deputy Chief of Chaplains is Lieutenant Colonel Tim Miner. He does the IT work and does a lot of the staff work. And he is also the key person that works with the recruiting of the chaplains and CDIs within our organization. And we are developing a new position called the National Senior CDI, and that's being processed at this time. So that individual will be working very closely with Colonel Pugsley, and it will be to develop the lesson plans that the CDIs use on the local level, as well as encampments and other official positions. And so as soon as that person is appointed, we'll be passing that on to you. We are a part of the Middle Atlantic region, and Chaplain Lieutenant Colonel Byrie is in North Carolina. He is the region chaplain. And then for the state of West Virginia, as you all know, Chaplain newly promoted Major Jeff Adkins. He is with the Parkersburg Squadron, and he also serves as the Deputy Region Chaplain. And my guess is he's probably being prepared to take care of the new position when Chaplain Byrie's position is up, which I think is in the next year or two there. Here's a group of people that you might recognize, some of these individuals. In fact, a couple of you are in there. This was Chaplain John Murdoch, our previous Chief of Chaplains. This is Chaplain Byrie from North Carolina, and of course, Chaplain Adkins, our wing chaplain. And we also have the other states represented, and an interesting background of denominational inputs. I would just like to say one thing about this gentleman back here. He is a PhD. I can't recall his name at this point in time, but he does an excellent presentation each year at our chaplain staff college. And this previous one was deal with burnout and also PTSD symptoms that we have to deal with in our chaplain's work from time to time. This is over at Camp Dawson, and it's usually the third week in April. And we normally have this cadre of individuals coming from all over the Middle Atlantic region. So I'd encourage you to go to it. All right, the corps personnel for the state of West Virginia, as I said, the wing chaplain is Jeff Adkins. I'm the unit squadron chaplain here in Morgantown. Right now, according to records, we have 19 CDIs in the wing. There is one in process, and that happens to be Richard, who just gave his introduction just a few moments ago. And also, both of the chaplains, Chaplain Adkins and I, are also qualified to be CDIs. The last point I'd like to share with you here is that remember that CDIs are a vital part of the chaplain's corps. I was really tickled pink when I got my certificate several years ago, appointing me as a CDI, to realize that the logo on top of the certificate actually spells out the fact that you are an official part of the chaplain's corps. And this is mainly because we are in perfectly alignment with how the United States Air Force is set up. So you have chaplains, and then you have chaplains' assistants. And from what I can see in the glass bowl coming up at sometime in the future, more than likely we're going to see that same thing happen within CAP. So there's a possibility that CDIs may receive a new title. That's still to be determined at this point in time. But just remember, you are a vital part of the Chaplain's Corps to the local unit, to the wing, to the region, and also to the national staff. All right, our core purposes that we have here. I like this phrase. This phrase was developed by our previous Chief of Chaplains, John Murdoch. I've known him for many, many years. He's in Kokomo, Indiana. He also serves as a Howard County chaplains to the deputy sheriffs there, and a tremendous amount of years in the pastorate, and also working as a counselor and as a chaplain. And he stands ready as the chaplain emeritus for national position for advice, and he's always open to help you in any way possibly can. But back to our purpose here. Number one, we are to provide character development instruction. That is the purpose of the CDIs, is to work with the lessons that are being directed toward us through the National Chain of Chaplains, also coming from the Air Force Academy, and also the two-star general that happens to be the Chief of Chaplains for the United States Air Force. And so we are to take those lessons and teach them to the cadets and the senior members on a monthly basis. Number two, we're to lead and assist in CAP ceremonies, funerals, training, encampments, and other events as approved and directed by the Chief of Chaplains. Over the last 5 years, I have seen the scope of our responsibilities and the opportunity to serve greatly expand. And it really makes me excited about this because it just gives us opportunities to interface with a lot of people, not just in CAP, not just in the United States Air Force, but here in Morgantown, we don't have an Air Force base close to us, but we have Camp Dawson. And so our opportunities to be a part of the Camp Dawson operation, not just the chaplains only, but all the operations over there, because we do use that as our senior training location for several of our trainings that we have within the wing. And it gives us an opportunity to bridge and partner with these people. And I know the chaplain at Camp Dawson very well, and he's a great guy and is always open to our help and also what we can learn from them. Number three, that we are to supplement other DoD chaplains' needs. Now, this is something that was started about 2 years ago, and the direction in which CAP is going is if a Air Force installation or a Army installation or a Navy installation needs a chaplain, then we can be part of that supplemental force, both the chaplains as well as the CDIs. And when a CDI becomes qualified as a chaplain's assistant, you can work along with your senior chaplain and go to those military installations and be of a help to them to supplement their lack of manpower. And then also a part of this cooperative work, we are to supplement the other Veterans Association needs. This means that we can go to VA hospitals, we can perform ceremonies and memorials for veterans that have passed on. And so once again, this supplement, as well as the one previous I mentioned there, is the fact that it gives you an indication that we are in a shortage of chaplains assistants, CDIs and chaplains. And so CAP is saying we can step up and help you in these areas, and we're glad to supplement the manpower that you have at your location. And then we maintain personnel counseling files, and you'll notice I've got not inspected in parentheses. So in other words, these are totally confidential counseling files, and also the counseling can only be done by a chaplain. And that must be in accordance with the Cadet Protection Program. And those files are kept locked at the unit or the wing level, and they are not inspected by the IG. They are only, there's other legal purposes that they can serve and they can be brought out for, but basically they are totally confidential files between the chaplain and the senior member or the cadet member itself there, but they are not inspected by anyone. All right, vital tasks for the chaplain's course. Number one, more emergency service deployments. And we also can serve as a team member for other ES agencies. In other words, we can not only work with military agencies in the area of emergency services, but we can also work with civil defense agencies. Usually about once every 2 years in the state of West Virginia, we have a combined ES activity, and a lot of times it's held right over here at Camp Dawson. And we will interface with and support both ground and air support from CAP in the wing to these other agencies. I had the privilege of being over there about 4 years ago. It was an excellent day to be outside, and we had over 600 people from various agencies, including active duty Air Force and active duty Army personnel within the state of West Virginia, and we work with them. So we're going to see more and more of this take place out into the future. Number two, something that's brand new, and I'm excited about this. Any chaplain that is certified to be in one of the positions of flight crew, either mission pilot, observer, or scanner, you can become a certified flight chaplain. And the burden that Colonel Murdoch had in mind for this was that the flight chaplains would be a direct minister to the flight crews themselves. West Virginia has a long history of involved in searches and rescues, and I can think of several that have happened during the period of time I've been here since 2003, and the need to have a flight chaplain is very pertinent here, even within the state of West Virginia. Excuse me. Number four, we need to recruit more staff to overcome the severe shortage in both CAP and USAP. Just to give you, for example, there's approximately 900 chaplains for 5,500 CAP members nationwide. I'm not sure how many CDIs we have within that 55,000 membership, but I will try to get that and have that for a future training session there. But this is the most severe shortage that we have ever seen occur, not just in CAP, but also across the board to the United States Air Force. And we're in the process of recruiting as many possible that are qualified to serve in both the area of chaplain and CDI. Number five, more involvement with the communities. As chaplains and also CDIs, especially again, I think when we are in areas, we don't have a large Air Force base here in West Virginia, but we do have the Reserve Wing in Martinsburg, Reserve Wing in Charleston, and that is about the only presence that the Air Force has in the state of West Virginia other than Civil Air Patrol and the 14 squadrons that we have in the West Virginia wing. And so as part of our recruitment and involvement in the communities, we want to encourage the chaplains and also the CDIs to bridge the gap, present the image, and serve our community and our state in this specific way. And then number six, you'll hear us refer to this particular priority here quite often, and it is a specific need that has been brought up in the national conference and the staff conference that we had back in August there. We need 100% complete and thorough inputs into the CAP Form 34, and that's the chaplain reporting that's in e-services, the electronic version only. Now, when you're making your inputs in there, the actual format makes it look like that you only have to do this every 6 months, twice a year. That is specifically true. However, the new National Chief of Chaplains, Chaplain Pugsley, would like us to make these entries into it real time, because this is our vital visibility of the chaplain program within CAP up through United States Air Force Chief of Chaplains there. It's not only a visibility of personnel serving in these two positions, but also the hours and the specific involvements, and also if there's any expenses involved in there. So if you need some training in the specific area of filling out the Form 34, I will be glad to work with you offline on this, but you're going to see an increased emphasis on the thoroughness and the accurate reporting of all of our activities for both chaplains and CDIs in this Form 34. And then number seven, provide a unique input to your unit commander. As you know, the CDI and the chaplain reports up its own chain of command. So in other words, I'm here in unit in Morgantown. We've got about 37 members. Major Logan Wheatcraft is my commander. But technically speaking, my chain of command is not through the local unit commander. It is through Chaplain Adkins, who is the wing commander, through the MAR commander, and up to the national commander. And that separation there has a lot of merits. It has a lot of advantages. It does require a little bit more communication, but it also gives us an opportunity to give an objective viewpoint. When our unit commander asks us how things are going, we can give him a unique perspective as a chaplain and also as a CDI. So I'd invite you to take advantage of that. It's almost kind of like a moral dipstick for the unit there to be able to give this input to the unit commander. But again, our chain of command is through the chaplain corps and not through the local unit commander. And then number 8, I think probably of all these things, if not, it encompasses all the previous 7. And that's the fact that we need to focus on being a people person. I look at all the titles and positions and responsibilities I've had. By the way, I'm 74 years old. I don't intend to retire, even after 21 years in the Air Force and 13 years with the FBI and now 18 years with the CAP. I'm going to work just as long as I possibly can. And my whole desire is to be a cheerleader, to be an encourager, and to be one that can be of a help to my fellow man, especially the membership of Civil Air Patrol. I enjoy wearing the uniform. I enjoy presenting a positive image of the United States Air Force and the Civil Air Patrol in my church, in my community, wherever I go in that respect. But it's not a matter of doing a job because of the prestige of wearing a blue uniform and saying I'm a major or I'm a chaplain. That has nothing to do with it whatsoever. Our focus needs to be on other people. So I'm not here to sell myself, to promote myself. I am here to be an encourager to my fellow members, which is just a little bit over 500 in the state of West Virginia here in our 14 squadrons, and especially to my 37 members, 36 other fellow members that I have here in Morgantown. As I look back over, especially about the last 6 years here in Morgantown, we've had some young people that have gone on to do some great things. Some of them are in careers now. We saw them grow up from the age of 12 years old, and many of them move on when they hit 17, 18, and 19 years old. Right now, we have 2 in the Air Force Academy. I have one that just was commissioned as an ensign in the United States Navy. She is on her way to be either on a submarine or a nuclear aircraft carrier. We have a young man that's serving here in Morgantown as the EMT. We've got fire persons. We've got people in medical personnel. We've got some that are being trained as store managers. As I look back over this, hundreds of young people that I've had the opportunity to know and be a part of their lives for these last 18 years, I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. The only thing that's more important to me is my wife, my children, and my grandchildren. But being a people person is caring about somebody else and encouraging them and being there as a friend and as a support to them as they discern the decisions that they make in a life that determines what type of career and walk of life that they go through. All right, this is an interesting slide, and I realize it may be a little bit small for you to perceive on your screen. But what I did was I took the Form 34 out of the e-services and projected it into a Word document. And you'll notice it doesn't follow the same format, but all the same information is there. And so this will give you some idea what inputs are made into that Form 34. And as we go down through this, you'll notice that there's a column for hours that you provide support, and also if there's any expenses involved in this thing. And it gives you some idea of how you can make your inputs into the reporting system for both a chaplain and also the CDI. And you'll notice the largest category, of course, will be other activities, talking about supporting the kids' fly days, church camp meetings, self-improvement, career counseling, general counseling. There's a lot of general things that we do as CDIs and also as chaplains. They are a positive input to this Form 34 reporting, and it really makes the organization look good. And of course, it makes overall CAP support to the United States Air Force really look good. And so Look back over these, might jog your memory into some things that you need to be put in there. Self-improvement is very important. And of course, as a CDI, make sure that you report all formal or informal training that you do relevant to character development. All right, looking back over the national conference that took place back in August, I would suggest that all CDIs and chaplains go back and view this session. It is the very first time in my 18 years I have ever seen someone explain the entire CDI program in a really in the trenches type of viewpoint. It also talked about the flexibility that we have within the program, but the practical advice in the execution of the program, both on a wing level and a unit level, it is well worth your time to view that hour, and you can learn a lot from that. Notice that the CAP Form 48, which is the CAP member religious interview, is on its way out. There is no mention of it in the new CAP Regulation 80-1, and so we're going to see this go away. Just for historical purposes, basically what this was when a senior member or a cadet expressed interest to join the organization, then the chaplain would have a private interview with him, and there's information on this form that would be either voluntarily discussed, or if the individual chose not to fill out this form, they had that prerogative also. But the bottom line is, I'm pretty sure we're going to see this Form 48 gone away with the new regulation to come out, and I'll talk more about that in a little bit there. Then the other thing is to stand by for more adjustments to align us with the Air Force chaplaincy. Again, what has taken place in the last 2 years leads in that direction, and there's been more practical adjustment, especially, I believe, with the new chief of chaplains that's in her new office. Excuse me just a minute, I need to clear my throat. All right, let's try this again. Okay, we are reaching now almost 30 minutes into this session, and I do not have enough material to go a full hour, but I'm just wondering if I could throw the mic up to any specific questions that you might have or lessons learned, and it maybe can fall into these 4 categories I've got here. What can other CDIs learn from your experience as a CDI? And what have you learned from the new format of lessons that the CDI is required to teach? Do you have any recommendations that should be run up the chain of command? And then also, once again, remembering that your CDI position is unique and vital to the overall CAP membership. So let me take a break here and see if there's any inputs from our attendees for this session. Go right ahead.
Yeah, I'll jump in, Paul. I would just like to say that, I've been going through this new format that we have as CDIs, and there's a lot of good material, a lot of good courses that are available that you have to take as you progress through the courses to be able to get your first level CDI. It's been a little bit wonky at times, just trying to figure out how to go about doing things. It hasn't always been very clear. So there's a lot of patience and a lot of digging that you have to do to really make your way through it, which hopefully at some point will become more clear. But I know it's new, so I think there's still a lot of things that everybody's trying to figure out and learn through that process. But I think I think the preparation is good. The coursework is excellent material, and I'm excited to become a CDI, and just the direction that we're going in long term. I like the alignment, with the active duty chaplain corps, working with them. So I think there's a lot of good things that are happening, with the corps. So I'm excited for it.
All right, great. And I'm especially proud of you. For for your patience and hanging in there. I could not ask for a better person to take on the responsibilities of not only here in Morgantown, but I'll say this, that I have high hopes and sights for expansion of your opportunities, your qualifications and exposure to other people there. I will say this, that I have sat on the membership committee for several years now for Morgantown Unit. And I always tell brand new people that, you know, this is a unique environment that we're in. And being at CAP as a corporate and a military hybrid type of organization, it takes a special person cut out for that to really enjoy it and see the benefits and reap the rewards. But yet again, once again, how many people's lives can we influence during that period of time? So I say this, that it usually takes a person about 3 years to be fully exposed, regardless of what specialty track they take on, and especially in this area of CDI, to be exposed to all the formal training that you can, take all the courses that you can, interface with as many people as you can, and also jump into the leadership area, because basically a CDI is a moral leadership person within the organization. And maturity and confidence, I believe that the area of at least 3 years on site is kind of like a bogey to shoot for there, to be able to feel like that you feel confident in doing this work as a person, as a CDI. I will say this, that nothing would tickle me pink more than anything else to see some of our CDIs here within the state of West Virginia who have graduate's degree or are in full-time religious service to be able to qualify as a chaplain. There is no limit on the amount of chaplains or CDIs an organization or a wing or a region or the national organization can have. And as I said, our manpower, our manning right now, personnel serving in both of these areas is desperately low right now. And we're looking for people that have the patience to work through these processes and interface with the people that can help us become qualified. It is a long struggle. I can tell you, it's a long struggle. It took me many, many years to get to the position of being a chaplain. And some of that was deficiencies on my part as far as education experience is concerned, but it is a long drawn out process. And I just encourage you to hang in there because the ultimate goal, when it's achieved, you can look back on it and say, okay, now I'm set, I can help people more effectively. And that's my ultimate goal. All right, thank you, Rich. Anybody else comment along this line? Okay, if not, I'm going to move on to the final slide, and let me just make some personal recommendations. I've got these documents here in Word, and if you would like to receive a copy of them, I would be glad to forward them on to you. These are strictly personal recommendations. Okay, I've learned this. It is being experienced as both a CDI and as a chaplain. It's very important and very helpful to the people within your unit. Develop a CDI mission statement to brief your unit on the program. I would say at least once a year, the CDI can brief a mission statement to the rest of the people that are in the local unit. That way the unit knows what you're doing. You're not working in a vacuum, and you're there to assist them, and especially the local unit commander, and work through the chain of command for the chaplain corps itself there. And so a mission statement is usually about 1.5 pages of information. And again, I've got an example. If you'd like to have a copy, I can forward it to you by email if you'll simply request it then. The other thing is develop a local CDI continuity plan for your unit. Because of the turnover and the attrition rate within a unit, and because of people taking on other responsibilities, sometimes we get to wearing too many hats. It's important that this position be covered. And so a continuity plan explaining how it's going to transition from one person to another is very important. So basically, the continuity plan is kind of like a elongation of the mission statement, but it tells you specifically what's going to happen when the current CDI steps down and a new CDI takes over, so that there'll be consistency and continuity within the organization there as the transition takes place. Number 3, be thorough in your inputs to Form 34. I've already gone into that in great detail, but it's very important. Again, you'll see this coming up many, many times into the future. People will refer to it. Then the last thing is to be personally accountable for the CDI program. That's part of the job, is taking personal responsibility for it, to be as faithful as possible. If you can't be there, have a backup person to do the work. Now, one of the new changes within the new regulation, CEP regulation 80-1, is the fact that you cannot use non-CAP members to teach the moral leadership lessons within a CDI night. It has to be done either by a qualified CDI or a CDI in training or a chaplain. So we cannot farm that out, is what we're saying. Bear in mind that the CDI is 25% of the education program that cadets go through. So in their progression of taking tests, getting qualified, and taking on more responsibility, they cannot neglect this area of character development. If they do, you have the opportunity to recommend to the cadet commander that that individual not be promoted, but the cadet commander has the ultimate decision. But as the CDI, you can recommend to them that they need to focus on being exposed to character development instruction, and that they cannot intentionally skip these sessions because it is 25% of their education program. So I think it's a matter of establishing accountability, both from a leadership standpoint as also with the students that attend your sessions. Okay, that is all the slides that I have. I'm going to go back to the first one, and let's see if I've left anything out. I had another slide here. Okay, I think I've covered everything. Yeah. Okay, all righty. I realize we did not go for an hour, but that's not a requirement. Any other questions or comments before we terminate the session there?
Hey, Paul, I have a question.
Sure.
I saw you mentioned there about the flight chaplains.
Yes.
That's actually the first I've heard of that. I guess, how does that program work?
Okay, the first thing, you have to be a qualified chaplain. Second thing, you have to be qualified in one of the 3 or multiple positions on the flight crew. So in other words, you have to be a cadet orientation pilot, a mission pilot, or a flight examiner pilot, or you have to be a observer, which is the right seat of the airplane, communications, and then also the scanner position can qualify for this, or an airborne photographer, which is kind of like a subset of the scanner position. Any of those 3 and 4 positions, you have to be qualified not only in the area of ministerial chaplaincy proficiency, but you have to be flight qualified also. And there is a brand new directive coming out on that. It has not been finalized at this point in time, but there is some minor references to that in the new CAP regulation 80-1. But you will be certified as a flight chaplain and fly with the flight crew in the various aircraft.
Okay. Thank you.
All righty. Any other questions or comments? All righty. Again, on behalf of Chaplain Adkins, I thank you for your service to West Virginia and to your unit. It is a vital position, and I look forward to seeing it grow and increase in responsibility, and especially in exposure to other people, and help us recruit more CDIs and chaplains in the Chaplain Corps within Civil Air Patrol. Thank you and have a great day.
You too.